You are standing beside a natural spring on a family farm in rural Tennessee. It is 1948. The water coming out of this ground is cold, clean, and completely free. This family has never paid a water bill, never will. The system they built to collect, store, and distribute this water costs under $40 in materials and has run without a single mechanical part for over 60 years. Your water bill this month is not inevitable. It is the direct result of decisions made between 1945 and 1952 by utility companies and municipal governments who needed you connected to their system and paying forever. I'm going to show you exactly what they replaced, exactly who profited, and exactly how to build the same system any American family used before they made it disappear. Most folks today can't imagine living without a water meter or a monthly bill, but the truth is, every drop you need can fall right on your own roof or bubble up from the ground beneath your feet. That's how my grandparents did it, and it's how families across the country managed for generations. The whole system is built on three things: the water that falls from the sky, the water that moves underground, and the simple force of gravity. No pump, no electricity, no monthly bill. Let's talk about rain first. Every time it rains, your roof turns into a collector. According to the US Geological Survey, 1 inch of rain on 1,000 square feet of roof gives you about 620 gallons of water. In a dry state, you might see 600 gallons per 1,000 square feet per year. In wetter places, it can go over 1,000 gallons. That means a modest roof, say 1,200 square feet, will catch enough to fill a backyard pool several times over in a normal year. All you need is a gutter, a pipe, and a tank or cistern to hold it. Now, the real trick is getting that water where you want it, with enough pressure to wash your hands or flush a toilet. Here is where gravity does the work. If you set your tank or cistern just a few feet higher than your sink or spigot, you will get usable water. Pressure, no pump required. The old USDA bulletins laid it out plain. Pressure comes from the height difference, not from a power line or a city pump. A 3-foot rise gives you about half a pound of pressure per square inch, which is enough for most household tasks. That is why you will see old farm tanks perched on a slope or up on sturdy stands. Whether you are catching rain or tapping a spring, the principle is the same. Water moves downhill, and the only thing you pay is a little sweat and some pipe. When I look at the way things used to work, I see a system that is natural, reliable, and built for independence. It is not complicated, and it is not out of reach for anybody with a patch of roof and a bit of common sense. The United States Department of Agriculture didn't treat spring development like some backwoods trick. Between 1910 and 1945, their bulletins spelled out the method in plain English right alongside advice on planting corn or keeping a milk cow. I have a copy of Farmer's Bulletin number 1447 from 1926 in my files. It walks you through the whole process, finding a spring, digging a shallow trench where the water breaks through, setting a stone-filled box, and letting gravity do the rest. No pump, no electricity, no monthly bill. The idea is not to force water out of the ground, but to protect what is already flowing, keep out the mud and leaves, and give it a clean path to your house or barn. That is how my father's generation did it, and his before him. Ordinary folks understood this as just another piece of farm knowledge, not some secret or luxury. The United States Department of Agriculture drew diagrams, listed materials, and even gave cost estimates, usually less than a couple $100 for everything you needed. It was all right there in the government's own paperwork. Nobody called it risky or fringe. It was just common sense, and it worked. Before the war, every farm family I knew depended on their own hands and their own land for water. Folks built cisterns out of brick or concrete, set up hand-dug wells, or boxed in a spring on the back 40. If you had a roof and a barrel, you had water. Nobody waited on a city pipe or a utility company. That was just how life worked, and the government's own bulletins treated these setups as normal, nothing odd or risky about it. But after 1945, things started to shift, and not by accident. The Federal Housing Administration rolled out new mortgage rules that pushed buyers toward municipal water. And suddenly, if you wanted a loan for a new home, hooking up to the city main became the default. At the same time, federal money poured into building out water lines and public utilities. By 1952, the codes and the financing all pointed one direction: connect to the grid, pay the meter, or get left behind. Nobody came out and banned cisterns or spring boxes outright. But the message was clear. If you wanted your house to be approved, you were expected to tie in to the system. The old ways didn't disappear overnight, but they faded from the rule books and from most new construction. What was once common sense became something you had to fight to keep. In 1952, the Model Plumbing Code dropped rainwater and spring systems from the approved list for new homes. That was not just a technical change, it was the moment the rule book stopped recognizing the old ways as legitimate. If you wanted your house to pass inspection, you were expected to hook up to the city main, even if you had a perfectly good spring or cistern on your land. The folks who wrote those codes were not just engineers or health officers. More often than not, they were also tied to the same companies selling water by the gallon. It is a closed loop. The people writing the codes are the people selling the water. Today, the water utility business is a $100 billion machine. Every year, American families pay out over $1,000 apiece just to keep the taps running. That is money leaving your pocket month after month for something that used to cost next to nothing if you had the know-how and a patch of ground. The arithmetic is plain. What was once free and natural became a permanent line item on the household budget, all because the code books and the industry lined up to make it so. Rainwater harvesting stands as the classic low-tech solution. Gutters run along the roof, channeling rainfall to a downspout with a first flush diverter, just enough to clear out the dust and grit after a dry spell. Clean water collects in a food-grade polyethylene tank, anywhere from 500 to 2,500 gallons, set on a platform 3 to 4 feet high. That bit of elevation gives enough pressure for household taps. Before reaching the faucet, water passes through a sediment filter and a carbon block filter, both standard hardware items. The whole setup costs between $200 and $600, and with basic upkeep lasts 20 to 30 years or more. For those with a natural spring development offers a time-tested approach. The core is a 3-foot collection box built from concrete or stone, lined with gravel and sealed with a concrete lid. Gravity carries water through a buried pipe with no pump, no power, and no bills. Materials run under $100, and the system holds up for decades with a quick annual cleaning. Cistern. Storage works on any property, rural or urban. A concrete or plastic tank, buried or above ground, stores water for daily use. Draw it up with a hand pump or a solar pump for less than $150. Expect to spend $300 to $800 on the tank itself. Each of these systems is built to last, offering reliable water for a generation. A fellow out in rural Missouri decided he was done paying out the nose for water. He has 2 acres, just enough to keep busy, and the utility was charging him $94 a month, every month, just to keep the tap running. So he took a weekend, picked up a 1,500-gallon tank, and $31 worth of hardware. Nothing fancy, just a few fittings and a length of pipe. No permit, no red tape. By Sunday afternoon, he had set the tank on blocks behind his barn, hooked up the gutters, and run a line out to his garden. The first season, he cut his outdoor water use by 40%. That is $440 a year that stays in his pocket instead of going to the water company. The best part? Once that tank was in place, the meter barely moved. That is what real control looks like. One system installed, and the meter never runs. I'll say it plain. Clean water never needed a treatment plant, just common sense and a little gravity. The folks writing the codes were the same folks selling the water. 3 options. 0 monthly bill. That's still true. Download my free ebook below, leave your questions, and I'll see you next time.